Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of America, where untamed wilderness meets whispered legends of the supernatural. In this sixth episode of Most Haunted Places in the Rocky Mountains, we embark on a journey into the rugged heart of one of North America's most iconic landscapes, a region steeped in mystery, history, and spine-tingling tales that have echoed through the ages. From towering peaks cloaked in perpetual mist to shadowy valleys shrouded in folklore, the Rocky Mountains are not just a haven for adventurers and nature lovers. They are also home to some of the most enigmatic and haunted locations in the United States. The Rockies stretch across 5 states: Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Utah. And their jagged ridges and dense forests have long been both sanctuary and snare for those who dare to tread within their bounds. These mountains bear witness to centuries of human endeavor, tragedy, and triumph, from indigenous tribes whose spirits are said to linger among ancient hunting grounds, to prospectors driven mad by gold fever, to settlers who vanished without a trace under unforgiving skies. Each ridge, riverbed, and abandoned cabin holds secrets buried beneath layers of rock and time, waiting patiently for someone brave enough, or foolish enough, to uncover them. What makes the haunted places of the Rocky Mountains so uniquely compelling is their isolation. Unlike urban hauntings, where the bustle of city life often drowns out the whispers of the dead, the silence of these high-altitude locales amplifies every creak, every shadow, every breath of wind. Here, the line between myth and reality blurs as easily as the morning fog dissolves in sunlight. Whether it's ghostly apparitions wandering forgotten mining towns or spectral lights dancing over desolate alpine lakes, the stories born in the Rockies carry an authenticity rooted in the raw power of the land itself. In this episode, we'll venture deep into the haunted heart of the Rockies, exploring eerie landmarks and cursed sites that defy explanation. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of abandoned mineshafts where miners' cries still echo, walk the creaking floors of ghost towns frozen in time, and stand at the edge of cliffs where restless spirits are said to roam. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses who've braved these forbidding terrains, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these haunting tales. So dim the lights, sharpen your instincts, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of the Rocky Mountains, remember, here, the past refuses to stay buried, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. The Stanley Hotel, elegance entangled with the supernatural, perched majestically atop the hills of Estes Park, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel stands as a beacon of refined elegance, a grand testament to early 20th century luxury nestled against the dramatic backdrop of the Rocky Mountains. Built in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, inventor of the Stanley steamer automobile, the hotel quickly became a retreat for affluent travelers seeking respite amidst breathtaking views and pristine wilderness. Its sweeping verandas, crystal chandeliers, and meticulously manicured gardens exude an air of timeless sophistication, yet beneath its polished veneer lies a darker narrative, one marked by scandal, despair, and unrelenting spectral activity. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Stanley revolves around Room 217, believed to be haunted by the spirit of Elizabeth Wilson, a former housekeeper who worked at the hotel during its early years. Historical records indicate that Elizabeth was struck by lightning while working in the room, though she miraculously survived the incident. Visitors staying in room 217 frequently report strange occurrences: lights flickering without cause, radios tuning themselves to static-filled stations, and the overwhelming scent of lavender lingering in the air. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets neatly made, as though Elizabeth were tidying up after them. Others describe hearing soft humming emanating from empty corners, accompanied by the sensation of cold fingers brushing against their skin. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is believed to be Lord Dunraven, a wealthy Irish nobleman who originally purchased the land upon which the Stanley now stands. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "Mine forever," and "Leave me alone." Witnesses describe seeing a tall, imposing figure clad in Victorian attire pacing anxiously near windows, his expression frozen in perpetual irritation. Some speculate that Lord Dunraven remains tethered to the hotel due to guilt over displacing indigenous peoples from the land, while others believe his spirit seeks to maintain dominion even in death. The hotel's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Theories abound that the basement harbors residual energy from countless acts of labor and despair inflicted upon its workers. Modern-day investigations into the Stanley's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including room 217 and the basement. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original owners. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "help me," and "let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Stanley continues to draw thrill-seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to book a stay, the opportunity to encounter Elizabeth Wilson, Lord Dunraven, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Stanley promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. St. Elmo Ghost Town, echoes of a forgotten era nestled in the Sawatch Range of central Colorado. St. Elmo Ghost Town stands as a haunting relic of the American Old West, a once thriving mining community reduced to crumbling wooden structures and silent streets. Founded in 1880 during the height of the silver boom, St. Elmo quickly became a bustling hub of commerce and industry, attracting prospectors, merchants, and settlers eager to strike it rich. At its peak, the town boasted over 2,000 residents, numerous saloons, general stores, and even a schoolhouse. Yet as mineral veins dried up and economic fortunes shifted, St. Elmo began its slow descent into obscurity. By the mid-20th century, all that remained were weathered facades and rusted machinery, remnants of a bygone era swallowed whole by the relentless march of time. One of the most pervasive legends tied to St. Elmo involves the ghost of Annabelle Stark, the daughter of one of the town's founding families. According to local lore, Annabelle fell deeply in love with a miner named John, but their romance was forbidden by her father, who disapproved of John's humble origins. Tragedy struck when John perished in a mine collapse, leaving Annabelle devastated. Unable to cope with her loss, she took her own life, reportedly hanging herself in the family's cabin. Visitors exploring the ruins claimed to see a translucent figure resembling Annabelle wandering the deserted streets, her face obscured by shadows. Others describe hearing faint sobbing emanating from the remains of the Stark residence, accompanied by the sound of chains rattling. Another prominent figure in St. Elmo's haunted lore is believed to be Sheriff Grady Crawford, who served as the town's lawman during its final years. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "protect them," and "they're coming." Witnesses describe seeing a shadowy figure clad in a sheriff's uniform standing motionless in doorways, his silhouette illuminated by moonlight before vanishing without explanation. Some speculate that Sheriff Crawford remains tethered to the town due to guilt over failing to prevent its decline, while others believe his spirit seeks to maintain order even in death. The town's old mineshaft entrances, hidden among dense pine forests, have also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled screams and the sound of rocks tumbling down shafts, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a volunteer who swore he saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that the mines harbor residual energy from countless accidents and tragedies that befell its workers. Modern-day investigations into St. Elmo's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the Stark cabin and the mine shafts. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique mining equipment believed to have been used during the town's operational years. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help us," and "We're still here." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, St. Elmo continues to draw thrill-seekers and historians alike. For those brave enough to explore the ruins, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural decay or the weight of its tragic legacy, St. Elmo promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Bachelor Mine, a descent into darkness hidden deep within the rugged terrain of Colorado's San Juan Mountains. Bachelor Mine stands as a grim reminder of the perils faced by miners during the state's tumultuous gold rush era, a labyrinthine network of tunnels carved into solid rock, where fortune and misfortune walked hand in hand. Established in the late 19th century, the mine attracted thousands of prospectors hoping to strike it rich, lured by tales of untold wealth buried beneath the Earth's surface. However, the reality of mining life was far less glamorous, characterized by perilous conditions, grueling labor, and frequent fatalities. Over its operational history, hundreds of miners lost their lives within its suffocating confines, victims of cave-ins, toxic gases, and violent disputes. Today, Bachelor Mine is widely regarded as one of the most haunted places in the Rocky Mountains, its darkened corridors echoing with the wails of those left behind. One of the most harrowing legends tied to Bachelor Mine involves the ghost of Thomas O'Reilly, a foreman who met a gruesome end after being crushed by falling debris during a routine excavation. Historical accounts suggest that Thomas had ignored repeated warnings about structural instability, prioritizing profits over safety. His decision proved fatal, not only for himself but for several workers caught in the subsequent collapse. Visitors exploring the mine report hearing faint cries for help emanating from deep within its tunnels, accompanied by the sound of distant explosions. Some claim to see a pale figure limping through the darkness, his body contorted in agony, while others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them, as though trapped beneath tons of rubble. Another prominent figure in Bachelor Mine's haunted lore is believed to be Mary Winslow, the wife of a miner who worked in the lower levels. According to local legend, Mary ventured into the mine one fateful evening searching for her husband, only to become hopelessly lost in its maze-like passages. Days later, rescuers discovered her body entombed in a collapsed section, clutching a photograph of her children. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a female entity whispering phrases like, "Find me," and "I'm scared." Witnesses describe seeing a translucent figure crouching in the corner of darkened rooms, her wide eyes filled with terror. Others report feeling an icy draft pass through them, as though Mary's spirit lingers, unable to find peace. The mine's deepest levels, accessible only to experienced spelunkers, have also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled screams and the sound of picks striking rock, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a tour guide who swore he saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that the lower levels harbor residual energy from countless acts of violence and despair inflicted upon its workers. Modern-day investigations into Bachelor Mine's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the upper tunnels and the collapsed sections. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique mining equipment believed to have been used during the mine's operational years. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "help us," and "get out." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Bachelor Mine continues to draw thrill seekers and historians alike. For those brave enough to descend into its depths, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its historical significance or the weight of its tragic legacy, Bachelor Mine promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Lake Crescent, waters that hold secrets nestled in the heart of Olympic National Park, Washington, just beyond the northern reaches of the Rocky Mountain Range. Lake Crescent stands as a hauntingly beautiful yet enigmatic body of water, its crystalline depths concealing mysteries that have baffled locals and visitors alike for generations. Surrounded by towering evergreens and craggy cliffs, the lake's serene beauty belies a darker history marked by disappearances, murders, and spectral sightings that have earned it the nickname, the Lake of Lost Souls. With waters reaching depths of over 600 feet in some areas, Lake Crescent has long been a place where the boundary between life and death feels disturbingly thin. One of the most infamous incidents tied to Lake Crescent occurred in 1937, when newlyweds Hallie Illingworth and Russell Warren disappeared without a trace. Their case remained unsolved until 3 years later, when Hallie's perfectly preserved body was discovered floating near the shoreline, a phenomenon attributed to the lake's frigid temperatures and lack of oxygen. Dubbed the Lady of the Lake, her corpse showed signs of strangulation and binding, leading investigators to suspect foul play. Russell was eventually convicted of her murder, but many believe Hallie's spirit still lingers in the waters she tragically met her end. Visitors swimming or boating on the lake have reported feeling icy hands grabbing at their ankles, accompanied by the sensation of being pulled downward. Others claim to see a translucent figure emerging from the depths, her expression frozen in eternal anguish. Another chilling tale associated with Lake Crescent revolves around the legend of the phantom canoeist. According to eyewitness accounts dating back to the early 20th century, a mysterious figure has been seen paddling silently across the lake's glassy surface, often during moments of dense fog or heavy rain. What sets this apparition apart is its ethereal glow, casting an otherworldly light that seems to illuminate the surrounding trees. Some believe the phantom canoeist is the spirit of a Native American warrior who drowned while defending his tribe's sacred lands, while others speculate it may be a victim of one of the many shipwrecks that litter the lakebed. Regardless of its origin, sightings of the glowing canoe continue to unsettle those brave enough to venture onto the water after dusk. The lake's surrounding forests, thick with underbrush and towering pines, have also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Hikers exploring the trails often feel an inexplicable sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some claim to hear disembodied voices calling out names unfamiliar to modern ears, believed to be the voices of those who perished in the area's harsh winters or treacherous terrain. Others report seeing apparitions of men and women in period clothing, their faces gaunt and weary, standing silently amidst the trees. Paranormal investigators exploring Lake Crescent have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the shoreline and popular hiking trails. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing motionless at the edge of the lake, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified the site's reputation as one of the Pacific Northwest's most active haunted locations. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, Lake Crescent continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the sacrifices made in pursuit of survival. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, Lake Crescent offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. Patterns across haunted Rocky Mountain sites, themes of isolation and resilience as we traverse the haunted landscapes of the Rocky Mountains. From the opulent halls of the Stanley Hotel to the somber ruins of St. Elmo Ghost Town, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing depths of abandoned mineshafts to the shadowed basins of alpine lakes, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of mining disasters or the betrayed trust of star-crossed lovers, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of isolation in amplifying paranormal activity. Many of the haunted sites in the Rockies are located in remote, rugged terrains, far removed from the distractions of modern civilization. This seclusion creates environments conducive to introspection and heightened sensory awareness, making even mundane sounds, a distant howl, the rustle of leaves, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of ghost towns, mineshafts, and dense forests evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every shadow becomes a potential threat, every sound a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing visitors to confront the unknown. The use of natural elements, such as mist rolling off mountain peaks or moonlight filtering through dense canopies, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal realities of frontier life embedded in the DNA of ghost towns contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic romances immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere landmarks into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted Rocky Mountain locations captivate us? What is it about haunted places in the Rocky Mountains that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the towering peaks and whispering pines lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are spaces of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of the comforts of civilization, relying entirely on the resilience of our own minds to navigate the wilderness, and sometimes, the supernatural. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, geographical isolation, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted Rocky Mountain locations exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, civilization and wilderness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between sanity and madness, safety and danger, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site in the Rockies feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Geographically, haunted Rocky Mountain locations contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their sheer remoteness. Long, winding trails lead to abandoned mineshafts and ghost towns, creating a sense of disorientation and exposure. Poor lighting, whether from the encroaching dusk or the thick canopy of trees overhead, heightens sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant howl, the creak of old wood, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of ghost towns and mines, combined with the unpredictable terrain, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted Rocky Mountain locations. Media representations, from films like The Shining, inspired by the Stanley Hotel, to folklore surrounding indigenous burial grounds, have cemented the trope of the haunted wilderness as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about isolation, survival, and the fragility of human existence. Haunted Rocky Mountain sites become microcosms of larger fears: the loss of control, the unpredictability of nature, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted Rocky Mountain locations appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted Rocky Mountain locations attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. As we bring this chilling journey through the haunted places of the Rocky Mountains to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of the haunted places in the Rocky Mountains yourself. Walk the same trails where spirits are said to roam, stand in the ruins of ghost towns frozen in time, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken landscapes offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices carried by the mountain winds. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.